We're going to cover some articles. I think we just this one article we have right now. We have this article, A Head. Let me stop the music. Sorry. So we're going to start covering an article here. We have this article. It's called. It's by It's a Head. It says chess grandmasters obsess over gambits, endgames, and shares. When elite players returned to Russia for a tournament after a year-long break, they came with new moves and seeding demands. All right. So let me scroll down. Okay. Now I will adjust this. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me cut this down. Okay, I think this is pretty good. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay. So let's cover this article. So, when Dutch chess champion Anish Giri sat down to resume the most bizarre tournament of his career this month in a biosecure hotel on the edge of Siberia, he didn't just see a deeply impressive grandmaster across the board from him, he also saw a deeply impressive chair. An enormous green leather upholstered affair that held a brilliant Russian with a man bun. Maybe if I were the king, maybe if I were the king, I'd be there. Mr. Giri, the number 7 player in the world, said in a news conference last week. But I'm more modest. Okay. Mr. Giri and a handful of the world's elite players had returned to Yekaterinburg, Russia, to resume the candidates tournament, the event that determines who will challenge current world champion Magnus Carlsen for the title this year. Jan Nepomniachtchi, the man-bun Russian, clinched the tournament on Monday. Oops, sorry. The result was a year behind schedule. The event had kicked off in 2020 during the onset of the pandemic, which forced a hiatus. It resumed this month when all the participants could safely be flown back to central Russia, and will finish on Tuesday after days of drama over an unexpected part of this game. During 13 months of sitting around at home playing chess on their computers instead of at a board, the finest minds in the game studied openings, endgames, and gambits. They also studied chairs. Okay. Picture of Anish. Okay. 6 of the 8 players at the candidates tournament demanded and received different seats by the time the tournament resumed, according to organizers. Only 2 kept the original green behemoths that would look at home in a Kremlin briefing room. Okay. The others opted for other models, including generic stackable conference chairs and the more ergonomic models favored by Wall Street desk jockeys. Everything about this tournament is absurd, said Russian Grandmaster Alexander Grishuk in a news conference. So we're adding another dimension of this absurdity. Everyone has a different chair. There are a few things more important to chess players than identifying their opponent's tactics and their own need to sit comfortably. Of course, you have to be able to sit comfortably or else you're going to have issues. Matches last up to 6 hours. The tournaments take weeks. Chess nerds have famously terrible posture. Gamers do as well, of course. The American world champion Bobby Fischer had a chair flown to Reykjavik for his famous match against Boris Spassky in 1972. Organizers had to scramble for a duplicate so they could offer the same to Mr. Spassky. Okay. In an incident 6 years later, players were so suspicious of each other that a chair underwent an x-ray. That obviously is a reference to the matches between Viktor Korchnoi and Anatoly Karpov. Few have thought as much about chairs as Garry Kasparov, who is better than anyone in a generation at thinking about chess. He says he examined up to 50 models in his search for the perfect seat during his rise to the World Championship in the 1980s. Okay. His longtime rival Anatoly Karpov often used a chair with wheels for their matches. Mr. Kasparov knew he wanted nothing of the sort. He was in the market for something basic with a low back and solid armrests. They offered us something spectacular, pompous, he says, but I always wanted a very simple one. Mr. Kasparov says he could never use one of the ergonomic chairs he has plopped on since retiring. They make him feel relaxed, too relaxed, exactly the opposite of what I wanted when I played chess professionally, he says. The former world chess champion says he understands the seating anxiety of today's players. Even a tiny bit of inconvenience could play the decisive role in the critical moment of the game, he says. For a short while in March 2020, the candidates tournament seemed to be the last major competition happening anywhere on the planet after the rest of the sports world went dark. The chess governing body shut down everything. The chess world governing body shut everything down that month, only after days of tension and player complaints. The players fled Russia before the borders shut and returned to the comfort of their homes and chairs. Over the following months, with everyone cooped up in front of screens, chess experienced an unlikely renaissance. The number of games played on chess.com every day doubled, then tripled, and continued to skyrocket according to the popular platform. For the world's top grandmasters, high-stake tournaments broke with convention by moving onto the internet through 2020. Suddenly, they had access to prestigious events in whatever chair they liked. Like everybody else spending hours at a screen, the chair became the most important piece of work from home equipment. Those who took it most seriously were the players who dabbled in other esports and opted for high-tech gaming chairs that looked ripped straight out of a sports car. A chair has become more than just a chair, says Danny Wrench, chess.com's chief chess officer. Their new appreciation became obvious when players reconvened in Yekaterinburg. Two of them had quietly complained to organizers in March 2020 about the original green chairs, saying they were bulky and uncomfortable, the organizers say. For those hoping to change their luck and their lumbar support this month, organizers offered other choices. The 8 players chose 5 different models. China's Ding Liren and Russia's Mr. Grishchuk were the only two who switched seats. The only two who switched seats last March 2020 went with a classic understated chair, the kind one might find in a dentist's waiting room, with a low back, no arms, and no wheels. Kirill Alexienko, the Russian and lowest ranked player in the field, also chose a minimalist option. China's Wang Hao and Mr. Giri picked standard office chairs. Fabiano Caruana, the top-ranked American who challenged Mr. Carlsen in the last World Chess Championship, went for a high-backed ergonomic chair. Okay, I have to say, before we keep going with the article, this chair is pretty hideous. I'm not gonna lie. This green chair, it looks like something out of the 1950s. It really does look like something from the Soviet days, to put it mildly. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, the only two who stuck with the green tanks, the green tanks. The green tanks were Russia's Mr. Nepomniachtchi and France's Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. They had a good reason not to switch anything up. They were tied for first place when the tournament resumed. So, okay, you guys, this is something that I want to talk about as well, to be very clear. So a lot of people wonder about chess players and whether they're superstitious. And I'm going to talk just about myself and my experience in the latest Magnus Carlsen tournament first before I talk about other players. But chess players tend to be very superstitious. Now, I know when I played over-the-board chess, there were certain shirts that I had really good records with. So, like, I had this one Canadian shirt that I think I won something like 8 out of 10 games with it. So whenever I was in a must-win game or a really important game that I felt I needed to win, I would always wear that shirt. Same thing applies to tournaments like the US Chess Championship in 2019. I wore the same jeans and the same sweater every day because I started off well in the tournament. I kept wearing it for the rest of the entire event. So for myself, I'm very superstitious. Additionally, in this Magnus Carlsen tournament, the first day after the preliminaries, when I played against Lequang Liam, we're insane. Yes. So the first day when I played against Lequang Liam, for whatever reason, I was a little bit slow in the morning, and I had actually gone to Costco and gotten these cheeseburgers. You know, you just heat them up for like 2 minutes, and for whatever reason, I ate a cheeseburger before the first day of playing Lequang, and I went on to win that match. So the next day I ate a cheeseburger. Obviously, I progressed to the semifinals. So I kept eating a cheeseburger before every single match. The final day I didn't have one, but I did lose to Magnus the first day of the finals, so I switched it up on the final day. But I did eat a cheeseburger every day because, again, we are superstitious. And so when we talk about like chess players and what they're interested in, they are very superstitious. And Jan Nepomniachtchi and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, they were leading the tournament at the break when they had to stop the event and postpone it. So it makes sense they wanted to have the same chairs because they did so well with them, so you have to keep doing it. So that's what I would say is really important, is that it makes chess players are very, very superstitious. That's what I think is important. Okay, so let's keep going with the article. Mind you, I haven't had a cheeseburger since then, but again, if something starts working, you stick to it. You do not mess around. You don't anger the gods. All right, so where were we? Now Mr. Nepomniachtchi gets to face Mr. Carlson for the world title, while Mr. Vachilegrov's form in the wheeled green seat rolled away from. Oh my god, that is harsh. Oh my gosh. Wow, that is brutal. Now Mr. Nepomniachtchi gets to face Mr. Carlson for the world title, while Mr. Vachilegrov's form in the wheeled green seat rolled away from him. Oh my god, that is so brutal. Jeez, so brutal. Wow. Wow, Mr. Geary has followed their progress with interest. Even though he quit on the majestic green chair, he still has a soft spot for it. It's really a beautiful chair, he said, and it deserves more love. Okay. I mean, it's okay. I mean, let me adjust this article. So again, this Wall Street article, for whatever reason, it's not great. So let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay. So when we look at the chairs and you compare the chairs, I mean, I don't like either of these chairs. These chairs are both pretty gross. This chair on the chair on the right is very I mean, it looks really kind of, I don't know. I would not feel comfortable playing chess, because in chess normally you're leaning forward. So this chair on the right is sketchy at best. I really don't like it very much. The chair on the left though is probably even worse. The chair on the left really, it looks like that chair that like, it's like that chair that you sit in. It's like, you know, you're in like Mad Men or one of those TV shows, and it's the 1960s, and you're just sitting back, you're relaxing, you're drinking your scotch or something. So that one on the left really does feel like something from a different era. So anyway, let's keep going. All right. Oh, that's the end of the article. Okay. It says green leather versus sleek modern at the Canada's tournament last week. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? This doesn't look like my kind of chair, though. I really don't like it. It's not my thing. Thank you to Fantize for the 7th. Thank you to Winds of East Comes from West for the 2 months. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. But yeah, I don't know. This is a very funny article. Very brutal wording of some of these things. But lower lumbar support, maybe. But I don't like it. I don't like them. I just have a normal chair. You guys have seen my chair a million times. There's no need for me to get up. But Nepo won with green, so he should definitely use the green chair at the World Championship as well, of course. Absolutely, he's got to use it. But I don't like the sleek modern. I don't know if they show any other chairs, but see, like the chairs that Bobby Fischer and Boris Spassky use look pretty normal. Those look pretty chill. This chair next to Anish is kind of, I mean, isn't this like a dentist chair or something? This chair next to Anish here on the right? It looks very, very dubious, to put it mildly. But that's just my view on it. Anyway, all right, I thought I would cover this article. Let me see, what else do I have? I think I have one other thing. I have some chess video or something. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Just subscribed.
Let me see if I can find it. There's some video. Let me see if I can find it. Or actually no, before I get to that, we have one more article which I will read, which is this one. What is this article? Okay, with this article from Le Guardian. Jan Nepomniachtchi will not be able to play next to Russia flag against Carlsen. As Magnus Carlsen prepares for a 2-day final with his old rival Hikaru Nakamura, WADA's ban on Russia has reached chess. Okay. So let's see, what's this article? It says Jan Nepomniachtchi's feat in qualifying as Magnus Carlsen's official challenger in a 2 million 14-game world title series at Dubai in November was subsequently hit on 2 fronts. First, having won the candidates with a round of spare, Nepomniachtchi lost Tuesday's dead rubber in Yekaterinburg. A more significant blow came on Friday, however, when he learned that he is not allowed to play with the Russian flag beside him in Dubai, owing to his country's ban imposed by the World Anti-Doping Agency. Wow. Now you guys are asking about dead rubber. That's British English, so what to say? Following Tuesday's defeat by China's Ding Liren, the 30-year-old Moscovite said that he had lacked motivation for the game. A strange comment when a win would have raised his FIDE world rating close to 2,800, the super elite level, while as it was Ding's victory regained the number 3 spot in the rankings that he had briefly let slip a few days earlier. I don't know who wrote this article, but I'm going to be blunt. Anybody who thinks that after winning the candidates tournament with a round or 2 rounds to spare is going to care or even really try is out of their minds. You basically play moves, but the goal has been accomplished, and nobody cares about ratings at that point. That's whoever wrote this article just simply does not play professional chess. That's what I'm going to say. because that's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. Anyway, let's keep going. I mean, Jan tried to play chess, but he had accomplished the goal. The goal is you get to the world championship match. You don't care at all about your rating whatsoever. So let's keep going. Meanwhile, Nepomniachtchi's candidate's achievement sparked Carlsen into a strong demonstration of his own skills. This week, the Norwegian began the online Nguyen Chess Classic with a 26-game unbeaten run as he aimed for his first victory of the Chess Champions Tour. And this weekend, he meets his old rival Hikaru of the U.S. in the 2-day final. At the final candidates press conference in Yekaterinburg, Nepomniachtchi described himself as a realist. I do not have the tendency to downgrade myself. Elsewhere, he assessed his chances as plus or minus 50%. World number 2 Fabiano Caruana, who was the pre-tournament favorite but faded in the closing round, said, I think he's going to be a very dangerous opponent for Magnus. Carlsen himself greeted his opponent with a tweet. Time to say Dubai. Interviewed, he was equivocal. He's a very strong opponent. Somebody who also plays very aggressively and usually gives his opponents chances as well. In that sense, there is every chance there's going to be an exciting match. Previously, the Norwegian had commented on his opponent's uneven play, the marked difference between his highs and lows. Unibet, which has a 2-year sponsorship deal with Carlsen, rates the chances at 72.28%, which seems realistic. At this distance from the match, Nepomniachtchi's enterprising style, which is good for tournament play, may prove suspect in a match. It could put him on par with such players as Efim Bogolyubov, who lost 2 matches to Alexander Alyakin, or Veselin Topalov in his 2010 defeat to Vishy Anand. Carlsen, for his part, will surely be motivated to demonstrate much clearer victory than in his last 3 matches against Vishy Anand, Sergei Karyakin, and Caruana, all of whom had at least one moment when they could have pushed the Norwegian close to the brink. There are still many in Moscow who can recall more than half a century of Soviet chess domination of global chess, which ended only with Vladimir Kramnik in 2006. Since then, Russians have underperformed in both team and individual global events. The desire to restore the lost empire is strong so that the challenger can expect maximum support. Nepomniachtchi revealed this week that his candidate's trainers had included not only his regular coach Vladimir Potkin, but also Peter Leko, the Hungarian who came within 1 game of the world title in 2004 and is currently one of the best online commentators. However, Nepomniachtchi specifically dismissed the brilliant Daniil Dubov as a team member on the grounds that he had previously helped Carlsen. Despite Nepomniachtchi's words often showing that he is a strong patriot, the Russia ban imposed by WADA became real during the World Checkers Draft Championship in Warsaw, Poland this week, when a Polish official had to remove the Russian flag during a game at the request of a WADA representative. What is this? Wait, what? What is this? Is this for real? What? I mean, I know there's no sound, but what? What on earth is that? That's bizarre. That's really, really bizarre. To do that in the middle of a competitive game of anything is really, really bad. That just shouldn't happen, period. This is a flag ban due to the Olympics in Sochi. No. I mean, I get that part, but I'm just saying, like, you don't do that in the middle of a competitive. Doesn't matter what game it is, you don't do that. That's pretty poor. All right, let's keep going. FIDE, the global chess body, has since issued a statement confirming that, due to the WADA sanctions against Russia, Nepomniachtchi will not be allowed to play under the Russian flag in Dubai, and the Russian national anthem will not be played. The challenger will have to compete as a neutral player using the FIDE flag. The Court of Arbitration for Sport directly clarified to FIDE that these restrictions only apply to the World Championship itself and not to any qualification events, including the just concluded candidates. The ban will also not apply to the Chess Olympiad scheduled for Moscow in 2022, as the global team event does not have the status of a world championship. Okay. Chess is among the many non-Olympic sports recognized by the International Olympic Committee, IOC, which explains why a ban imposed for a major doping scandal in an Olympic sport also affects world championships in chess and checkers. Nepomniachtchi has a 4-1 lead in his previous games against Carlsen, although this is not a reliable indicator. Before 1927, Alyakin had never beaten Jose Raul Capablanca. Before 1972, Bobby Fischer had never beaten Boris Spassky. Nepomniachtchi's first 2 wins against Carlsen were in their junior days when both were among the class of 1990, the prime vintage year for Grandmaster bursts in the whole of chess history. Okay. The 1990 born include, besides Carlsen and Nepomniachtchi, the 2016 title challenger Karyakin, France's Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, who came through at the end to snatch second place in Yekaterinburg, Russia's Dmitry Andreikin, and England's David Howell, whose Twitter page includes a photo of the prize winners at the 2002 World Under-12 Championship, where Nepomniachtchi won gold, Carlsen silver, and Howell bronze. Carlsen's 26-game unbeaten run came to an end in his semifinal when he lost the 4th game of a 2-2 tied first set to Levon Aronian. The world number 1 went on to win the match 1.5 half, 2-2, 3-1. In the second semifinal, Nakamura beat Shakhtar Mamedyarov 2-1, 3-1, 0, 3-2-1 by winning the Armageddon game with black. The Carlsen Nakamura final best of 2 sets with a speed tiebreak, or the Carlsen versus Nakamura final best of 2 sets with a speed tiebreak set, if needed, will be played on Saturday and Sunday evening, 6 p.m. BST start. You can watch the games live on chess24.com. Earlier in the preliminary stage, all play all stage, India's Ramesh Babu Pragnanandha 15 defeated the elite GMs Karyakin and Timur Rajabov and scored 7.5 out of 15, narrowly missing qualification. He also had the better of a draw with Carlsen, twice turning down draws by repetition before settling for the half point. Gawain Jones, the first British player invited to the tour, had a hard time and finished with 3 out of 15, losing his last 8 games, but he had the consolation of winning a 22-move miniature against Wesley So of the US, the world number 9. All right. So anyway, pretty good article overall. Again, pretty insane, like the stuff with the flag and everything, but I don't think that's going to have any issue on Nepomniachtchi, and I think it's going to be a very exciting match. That's what I would say. I think it's going to be very exciting. I think you're going to have a winner is what I would say as well. It's not going to be a situation where you have 12 or 14 draws. It's going to be a situation where where you have decisive games. So it's going to be a lot of fun and it's going to be exciting. So just thought I would cover these 2 articles related to World Championship, since obviously I was out of it for a bit playing this chess tournament. But those are the articles that I wanted to cover today. I haven't